If you're just starting keto, let me say this clearly. Keto is not about starving yourself, and it's definitely not about avoiding vegetables. In fact, the right vegetables can be the difference between slipping out of ketosis and staying metabolically flexible, energized, and mentally sharp. When most people hear the word keto, they picture empty plates, fear of vegetables, and a life stripped of color. But the real truth is far more unsettling and far more empowering. Keto doesn't fail because of vegetables. It fails because of insulin, a hormone so powerful that even foods labeled healthy can quietly shut down fat burning within minutes of eating them. Insulin is not evil, but it is absolute. The moment it rises, your body receives a clear biochemical command: stop burning fat, store energy, and protect glucose at all costs. Research shows that even small, repeated insulin spikes throughout the day can block ketosis completely, keeping people stuck in fatigue, cravings, and stubborn weight despite doing keto right. This is why so many beginners feel confused, frustrated, and defeated before they ever experience the mental clarity and energy they were promised. Vegetables are not the enemy, but carbohydrate density is. Some vegetables contain more hidden sugar per bite than a spoon of rice, and when insulin-sensitive cells detect that glucose, fat burning shuts off instantly. Studies on glycemic load demonstrate that it's not just sugar that spikes insulin, but starches that rapidly convert to glucose in the bloodstream, overwhelming metabolic pathways that were never designed for constant exposure. What most people don't realize is that fiber changes everything. Fiber slows digestion, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and physically reduces how much glucose ever reaches the bloodstream. Low-carb vegetables rich in fiber create a completely different hormonal response compared to starchy vegetables, even when calories are similar. This is why two people can eat the same number of calories, but only one remains in ketosis. Insulin resistance doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly after years of repeated blood sugar spikes from foods we were told to trust. Research from metabolic studies shows that chronically elevated insulin keeps fat locked inside fat cells, making weight loss biologically difficult, not a failure of willpower. Keto works when insulin is kept low enough long enough for the body to remember how to burn fat again. Low-carb vegetables protect this process. Spinach, kale, broccoli, and cabbage contain compounds that actually improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. Magnesium, chromium, and polyphenols inside these vegetables help insulin receptors function properly, meaning less insulin is required to do the same job. This is not dieting, this is metabolic repair. There's another layer most people never hear about: inflammation. High insulin foods increase inflammatory markers that interfere with leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. When leptin signaling breaks down, hunger becomes louder and more desperate, even when the body has stored energy. Low-carb vegetables reduce inflammation, allowing hunger signals to normalize naturally without white-knuckle discipline. The gut microbiome plays a silent but decisive role here. Fiber from low-carb vegetables feeds bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, which have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and lower systemic inflammation. These fatty acids act like metabolic messengers, telling your body that energy is available and safe to use. Without this signal, cravings intensify and ketosis becomes fragile. Early keto often fails because people remove carbohydrates without replacing minerals. Insulin reduction causes sodium, potassium, and magnesium loss through the kidneys. When these minerals drop, fatigue, headaches, and weakness appear, and many assume keto isn't for them. Low-carb vegetables quietly replace these minerals, stabilizing nerve signals, muscle contraction, and heart rhythm while supporting ketosis. Vegetables that spike insulin sabotage this balance. Carrots, sweet potatoes, corn, peas, and even beets can push insulin high enough to pause ketone production for hours. The body doesn't negotiate with insulin, it obeys it. One high insulin meal can undo an entire day of fat adaptation, keeping people cycling between glucose dependence and exhaustion. Ketosis is not a switch, it's a metabolic state that requires consistency. Studies on ketogenic adaptation show it can take weeks for mitochondria to fully upregulate fat-burning enzymes. During this window, insulin spikes are especially disruptive. Low-carb vegetables act as metabolic stabilizers, allowing adaptation to complete rather than constantly restarting. This is why keto is not about cutting vegetables, it's about choosing vegetables that keep insulin quiet. The difference between success and failure often comes down to what's on the side of the plate, not the main dish. Low-carb vegetables also protect long-term health. They reduce oxidative stress, support liver detoxification pathways, and improve endothelial function, lowering cardiovascular risk markers often misunderstood in ketogenic diets. When insulin remains low and inflammation drops, triglycerides fall, HDL rises, and metabolic markers improve across the board. The shocking truth is that many balanced diets fail because they keep insulin moderately elevated all day long. Keto works when insulin finally gets a break. Low-carb vegetables make that break sustainable, nourishing the body instead of depriving it. This isn't about fear of food, it's about understanding physiology. When insulin is controlled, fat becomes accessible fuel. Hunger quiets, mental clarity sharpens, and energy stabilizes. When insulin spikes, fat locks away, cravings return, and progress stalls. Keto is not a war against vegetables. It's a strategic alliance with the right ones. When you choose vegetables that work with your hormones instead of against them, ketosis stops feeling fragile and starts feeling natural. And once you understand this, keto is no longer a diet you struggle to follow. It becomes a metabolic state your body recognizes, protects, and returns to effortlessly. What most people never realize about keto is that fat burning alone is not the goal. The real transformation happens when the body shifts from survival mode into repair mode, and that only happens when low-carb vegetables and healthy fats work together at the hormonal and cellular level. Without that partnership, keto becomes restrictive, stressful, and short-lived. With it, keto becomes healing. Your body is not designed to run on protein alone. It is designed to run on fat in the presence of micronutrients, signals that tell your brain and hormones that food is abundant and safety is restored. When healthy fats enter the bloodstream without an insulin spike, they trigger satiety hormones like cholecystokinin and peptide YY, which quiet hunger at the brainstem. This is not willpower. This is chemistry. But fat without vegetables is incomplete. Vegetables provide the minerals, antioxidants, and fiber that allow fat metabolism to occur efficiently. Research shows that fat oxidation increases when magnesium, potassium, and phytonutrients are adequate because these nutrients activate enzymes inside the mitochondria. Without them, fat remains energy you can eat but cannot fully use. This is why so many people feel sluggish on keto at first. They cut carbs, increase fat, but forget the signaling system that tells the body how to use that fat. Low-carb vegetables restore that signal. They prevent the metabolic stress response that raises cortisol, a hormone that blocks fat loss and raises blood sugar even in the absence of carbs. Healthy fats do something else that is rarely discussed. They stabilize blood sugar by slowing gastric emptying. When fat is eaten with fiber-rich vegetables, glucose absorption becomes gradual and controlled. Studies show that this combination dramatically lowers post-meal insulin levels compared to carbs eaten alone or even protein eaten alone. Insulin stays low, ketones stay high, and the body remains in repair mode. This repair mode is where healing begins. When insulin is low and fat is present, the body activates autophagy, a cellular cleanup process that removes damaged proteins and dysfunctional mitochondria. Autophagy is associated with improved metabolic health, reduced inflammation, and protection against neurodegenerative disease. But autophagy is fragile. It shuts down when insulin rises, even briefly. Low-carb vegetables protect autophagy by keeping insulin stable while providing antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress during fat metabolism. Fat burning generates reactive oxygen species, and without antioxidants from vegetables, cells experience damage instead of renewal. This is the difference between weight loss that feels draining and metabolic change that feels energizing. The liver plays a central role in this process. When healthy fats are paired with choline-rich vegetables like cauliflower and leafy greens, liver fat metabolism improves. Research shows choline deficiency is strongly linked to fatty liver disease, even in people eating low carbs. Vegetables quietly prevent this while fats supply the fuel for ketone production. Then there is the gut, an organ most diets completely ignore. Fiber from low-carb vegetables feeds bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Butyrate strengthens the gut lining, reduces inflammation, and improves insulin sensitivity. When healthy fats are present, these fatty acids act as metabolic amplifiers, enhancing ketone utilization and reducing cravings. Cravings are not a character flaw, they are a biochemical alarm. When the brain senses nutrient deficiency or unstable blood sugar, it demands quick energy. Strategic vegetables plus fat silence that alarm. Hunger becomes calm and predictable instead of urgent and emotional. This combination also protects hormones. In women especially, aggressive carb restriction without nutrient support can disrupt thyroid function and reproductive hormones. Low-carb vegetables provide iodine cofactors, antioxidants, and minerals that support thyroid signaling, while fats provide cholesterol, the raw material for hormone production. Keto becomes sustainable instead of stressful. Inflammation drops as this balance stabilizes. High insulin states activate inflammatory pathways that damage blood vessels and accelerate aging. When vegetables and fats are combined properly, inflammatory markers like CRP and triglycerides decrease, while HDL cholesterol improves. This is why long-term ketogenic studies often show cardiovascular risk markers improving, not worsening. Mental clarity is another effect people feel but don't understand. The brain prefers ketones, but it also requires micronutrients to maintain neurotransmitter balance. Magnesium and folate from vegetables support dopamine and serotonin production, while fats stabilize neuronal membranes. This is why brain fog lifts when keto is done correctly, not aggressively. Even sleep improves. Stable blood sugar and adequate minerals reduce nighttime cortisol spikes that wake people up hungry and restless. Many people think keto ruined their sleep, when in reality it exposed mineral depletion. Vegetables fix that quietly, consistently, and powerfully. This is why keto fails when it becomes a list of forbidden foods. Restriction raises stress hormones. Stress hormones raise blood sugar raises insulin, and insulin shuts down ketosis. Strategic nourishment breaks this cycle. The most shocking truth is this: fat does not make you fat, and vegetables do not make you weak. The wrong combination at the wrong time does. When vegetables are chosen for low insulin impact and fats are chosen for metabolic stability, the body stops fighting change. Keto was never meant to be a punishment. It is a metabolic reset, a way to remind the body how to access stored energy, repair damaged systems, and quiet chronic inflammation that modern diets normalize. When low-carb vegetables and healthy fats work together, hunger fades into the background. Energy becomes steady. Focus sharpens, healing accelerates. This is the moment keto stops being a diet you endure and becomes a physiology you understand. And once your body understands it, it doesn't forget. If this helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone starting keto today. Your metabolism will thank you.